April Cooper. Hi, Dave and Matt. Going to get a head start on this month's. I have a few things to talk about, although I will also probably send one after the Please Hold airs to answer any questions you have. I just went to, I have no idea how to pronounce that. Puyallup? Puyallup? SummerCon, June 20th and 21st. It's the second time I've been to a convention. I did a few more comic creator interviews with Randy Emberlin, Chris Warner, and Aaron Lopresti, which I dubbed them the Oregon Brothers, or Oregon Brothers, since they are all from that region. Yes, I interviewed Aaron again. I am a fan of his work. I've read all his indie books: Power Cubed, Garbage Man, Wraith of God, and Kit Carter Planet Doom. I'd recommend Garbage Man and Wraith of God to you. They are both books that he tries to express his Christian beliefs through. Um, I'll tell you what, why don't you send an email to Aaron and say, if he sends me Garbage Man and Wraith of God, uh, autographed and personalized to Dave Sim, I'll send him some Cerebus in Hell with a question mark, personalized to Aaron. And we'll see if that works out. I also met your old pal, Kevin Eastman. I let him know your landline is down. I asked him if he has your address, and he says he does. So you're all good there. Everybody has my address. I always have to try and remind people of that, that the address for Aardvark Vanaheim, the Box 1674 Station C, has been the same since the 1980s. So it's not as if I'm hard to get a hold of. Kevin and I are both at the point, I think, of it's better to try and get some work done. The clock is ticking down for both of us, and if I don't hear from Kevin, it's not because it's anything personal. It's he's up to his eyeballs in getting stuff done, and the same thing on my side. But thank you for, as the kids say, reaching out. I didn't get a chance to interview him, but I did get a picture with the signed reissue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The lady that was taking the payments wanted to know if I wanted it personalized. While I was debating the question, she asked what my name is. When I said April, she said I had to do it, um, which got me thinking about comic metaphysics. I mentioned it to Kevin, which got him to laugh. Um, Another, oh, now I'm tempted to tell my April story. Am I going to tell my April story? I query myself. Um, yeah, I think I'm going to, because it has been decades now, and I still have the same question mark over this one. When Susan Alston and I went on a couples weekend with two other couples to Martha's Vineyard in whatever year that was, 1996, I believe, Labor Day, 1996. Um, one of the guest visitors we had at the house that we were renting was the former April Eastman, um, which is where I think that's where I met April. And then on another occasion, we were at a sports bar in Northampton, basically so that so that I could watch baseball while Susan and I were talking. And we were joined by the former April Eastman. And one of the points in the conversation that we got to, April said, and I don't often use these words anymore, uh, but I'm not going to be able to communicate the idea without using these words. said, "Payback is a bitch and I am a motherfucker." And I say that because I have always wondered, where did she get that from? Did she just make that up herself? Did she get it from a black friend? Um, is it from a movie or is it from a television show that I'm not aware of? So if anybody out there listening can can enlighten me as to, oh, come on, Dave, everybody knows where that's from, I would appreciate it. Another funny story is my friend who was with me on Saturday thought his name was Kevin Westman because she thought it was similar to Kevin West, Kanye West. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I corrected her, but the joke we got was a Kevin Eastman and Kevin West. Now we just need a Kevin North and a Kevin South, and we got the compass covered. I ramble a little with that story, but I digress. Saturday, I also met the animator Don Bluth. I don't know if you know who he is, but he was a large part of my childhood. One of my favorite films he did is The Secret of Nim. I got a signed copy of his autobiography, which technically was supposed to be unsigned because it was more cost effective, but I guess because I brought him some fan art, he signed it for free. He seemed like a nice guy, and he's a good writer. I found out he's Christian of the Mormon branch. Yeah, I'm very aware of Don Bluth. I think of all of the animators, and they are legion in number, um, who aspired to become Walt Disney without becoming Walt Disney, with all of the qualifications that would be attached to that. Um, Don Bluth probably came the closest to uh, being exactly that successful, being able to do um, Snow White and Pinocchio level of animation without compromise and without having to pursue slave labor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it doesn't surprise me that Don Bluth would be a Christian. I don't think anyone could have gotten as far as he got on that impossible dream if God wasn't mixed in on the equation. Um, Overall, it was a good experience, and I got some books and comics, including Spawn 10, the Cerebus crossover, which I did read a couple of times online, but it's nice to have the physical copy. I am finally back to working on your second birthday piece. It was on hold while I prepared my portfolio to get a review from Aaron to make sure the storytelling is working. I got the majority of the first chapter laid out. Now it's refinement and fuss with the dialogue and be more measured with my panel borders because they get squiggly at times. Uh, all right, now that I talked your ears off, time for the questions. Question number one. How did you meet Will Eisner? I met Will Eisner, Comic Art Metaphysics, rearing its head at the second convention I ever went to, which was the 1973 Cosmicon, and I I actually asked him about a quote from T. Casey Brennan. If you show the violence, if you show violence in comics, you should show the results of that violence. Uh, and what Will had to say was, I don't think comics should be left bloodless. On the other hand, I don't think it should be overdone. I think it's a matter of timing. Uh, a matter of sense of usage. A small trickle of blood somewhere has more power than a whole gushing fountain of blood. It all depends on how you use it. It's like Alfred Hitchcock's turning of a doorknob. He might spend 10 seconds on the screen of a doorknob turning, and it created more horror than arms and legs being ripped off and heads being blown apart. I think you can't formulate this thing. I don't think anybody who tries to formulate it makes any contribution. I think it depends on the story, the artist, the feeling, the situation, and so forth. What Will actually said in the quote was, I don't think you can formularize these things. And at 17 years old, of course, I knew everything. And I went, I don't think formularize is a word. And of course, it is. It's to make something formulaic or predictable. Their stage shows have become a little formularized. So I changed it to formulate. And retrospective apologies to Will Eisner, 52 years after the fact. I should definitely have not relied on my own perceptions of language and have actually looked it up. And I would have found out, yes, formularize is a term, and Will Eisner was using it correctly. And how did the Spirit and Cerebus and Spirit Jam come about? That came about because I had Will's address, and I did, Gerhard and I did our side of the story, and I sent it to him, asking if he could take my layouts of the story and tighten up the spirit part and the Commissioner Dolan part and the octopus's glove part, just enough so that it would look more like Will Eisner than Dave Sim imitating Will Eisner. And as he said in his cover letter, it was like a fire horse getting a whiff of smoke. When he saw the pages, he went, well, I have to actually finish these. And he went ahead and not only tight penciled them, but inked them. So I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have said, Will Eisner doesn't do jam stories unless it's his jam story, through Denis Kitchen. Just leave it alone, Dave. And couldn't leave it alone, but am obviously still very, very pleased that I have a Cerebus Spirit Jam under my belt that both Will Eisner and I worked on. Question 2 is a biblical question. The book of Numbers mostly follows Moshe and the children of Israel, but in chapter 22 to 24, the story follows Balaam, who God communicates with, who isn't part of Israel. The story shows he both hearkens to God and doesn't, and almost pays the ultimate price, if not for his ass seeing the angel. His part of the story ends when he blesses the children of Israel and returns home. But in a later chapter, it's said he is killed with others of Moab for trying to tempt Zimri with the Midianite woman Cozbi. I really should take notes on the odd passages that come up because I couldn't find the chapter again to give an exact passage, but I am curious what your thoughts on the passage are. Okay, I can't really do an exhaustive commentary on Numbers 22 to 24, but just going through the passages here, uh, let me at least give you some of the idiosyncratic Dave Sim viewpoints on Numbers 22 to 24, starting with 22, verse 8. And he said unto them, Lodge here this night, and I will bring you word again as the YHWH shall speak unto me. And the princes of Moab abode with Balaam. Then in verse 9, and God came unto Balaam and said, What men are these with thee? And Balaam said unto God, Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, hath sent unto me. Behold, there is a people come out of Egypt, which covereth the eye of the earth. I've got that as a Hebrew translation in the margin. It says the face of the earth in the text, but it indicates that no, the Hebrew term is for the eye. So it's the eye of the earth. And I think that that's the eye of the YHWH, which is planet Earth, which is usually translated as Lord, but it's YHWH, planet Earth. These people are covering the eye of the Earth. So it's essentially the YHWH complaining um, to Balak. Come now, curse me them. Peradventure, I shall prevail in fighting against him. And again, we have the distinction between the actual Hebrew and what the translators of the King James Version have turned it into. Peradventure, I shall be able to overcome them and drive them out. But what it actually says, I shall prevail in fighting against him. So there's a big difference between him and them, he said in remarkable understatement. And God said unto Balaam, Thou shalt not go with them. Thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. And Balaam rose up in the morning and said unto the princes of Balak, Get you into your land, for the YHWH refuseth to give me leave to go with you. So again, there's the confusion existing there, where even Balaam doesn't know when he's speaking to God and when he's speaking to the YHWH. But definitely in the text, there's a distinction. Sometimes it's God speaking, and sometimes it's the YHWH speaking. And the princes of Moab rose up, and they went unto Balak, and said, Balaam refuseth to come with us. And Balak sent yet again princes more, and more honorable than they. And they came to Balaam, and said to him, Thus saith Balak, the son of Zippor, Be not thou letted from coming unto me, for I will promote thee unto very great honor, and I will do whatsoever thou sayest unto me. Come therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people. And Balaam answered and said unto the servants of Balak, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word, of the YHWH my God to do less or more. Now therefore I pray you, tarry ye also here this night, that I may know what the YHWH will say unto me more. And then in verse 20, and God came unto Balaam at night, and said unto him, if the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them. But yet the word which I shall say unto thee, that shalt thou do. And Balaam rose up in the morning and saddled his ass, and went with the princes of Moab. And God's anger was kindled because he went. And the angel of the YHWH stood in the way for an adversary against him. Now he was riding upon his ass, and his 2 servants with him. And the ass saw the angel of the YHWH standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. And the ass turned aside out of the way, and went into the field. And Balaam smote the ass to turn her into the way. But the angel of the YHWH stood in a path of the vineyards, a wall being on this side, and a wall on that side. And when the ass saw the angel of the YHWH, she thrust herself into the wall, and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, and he smote her again. And the angel of the YHWH went further, and stood in a narrow place, where was no way to turn, either to the right hand or to the left. And when the ass saw the angel of the YHWH, she fell down under Balaam. And Balaam's anger was kindled, and he smote the ass with a staff. Okay, idiosyncratic Dave Sim viewpoint. The angel of the YHWH that is involved in this part of the story. I'm pretty sure that what is happening is the people of the Hebrew people, the people of Israel, God's chosen people, are coming into the promised land. And the promised land is the Garden of Eden. As it says in Genesis 3:23-24. Actually, I'll do 22, 23, and 24. Which resonate with Numbers 22, 23, and 24. And the YHWH God said, behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life, and eat and live forever. Unfinished sentence. Therefore, the YHWH God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man. Note, he drove out the man. He didn't drive out the man and his wife. He drove out the man, Adam. And he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. That's the angel of the Lord, I'm pretty sure, in Numbers 22, 23, and 24. So, resuming the story. And the YHWH opened the mouth of the ass, and she said unto Balaam, what have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten these 3 times? And Balaam said unto the ass, because thou hast mocked me, I would that there were a sword in my hand, for now would I kill thee. Basically, it's Balaam as the opposite of the angel of the YHWH, who is talking, whose concern is to kill any man trying to enter the promised land, and keeping the way of the tree of life, which is 100% female. And Balaam said unto the ass, because thou hast mocked me, I would that there were a sword in my hand, for now would I kill thee. That would be the masculine Balaam killing the female ass. And the ass said unto Balaam, not I thine ass, whom thou hast ridden upon me, ever since I was thine unto this day? Was I ever wont to do so unto thee? And he said, nay. In other words, it's basically a God YHWH dialogue, basically God saying, you've set up this cherubim to kill any man wanting to enter the Garden of Eden. Did I ever do anything like that to you? Then the YHWH opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the YHWH standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. And he bowed down his head, and fell flat on his face. And the angel of the YHWH said unto him, wherefore hast thou smitten thine ass these 3 times? Behold, I went out to be an adversary unto thee, because way is perverse before me. In other words, because Balaam is a man, the way of men is perverse before me. It's the job of the angel of the YHWH to keep the way of the tree of life, which is exclusively female. And the ass saw me and turned from me these 3 times. Unless she had turned from me, surely now also I had slain thee and saved her alive. In other words, even an ass, if they're a female, can get into the Garden of Eden. But the man, after he had been driven out, no men are getting back into the Garden of Eden. And Balaam said unto the angel of the YHWH, I have sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. Thou now therefore, if it be evil in thine eyes, I will get me back again. And the angel of the YHWH said unto Balaam, go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee, that thou shalt speak. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. And when Balak heard that Balaam was come, he went out to meet him unto a city of Moab, which in the border of Arnon, which in the utmost coast. And Balak said unto Balaam, did I not earnestly send unto thee to call thee? Wherefore camest thou not unto me? Am I not able to indeed to promote thee to honor? And Balaam said unto Balak, lo, I am come unto thee. Have I now any power at all to say anything? The word that God putteth in my mouth, that shall I speak. And Balaam went with Balak, and they came unto Kiriath Huzoth. And Balak offered oxen and sheep, and sent to Balaam, and to the princes that with him. And it came to pass on the morrow that Balak took Balaam, and brought him up into the high places of Baal, that thence he might see the utmost part of the people. So the key takeaway at that point in chapter 22 is that Balaam has two different instructions. He has the word that God has put in his mouth, and he also has the word that the YHWH has put in his mouth. But the key God versus YHWH element of chapter 22, um, uh, it, to me, is verse 30. And the ass said unto Balaam, Not I thine ass, upon whom which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine unto this day? Was I ever wont to do so unto thee? And he said, Nay. Um, the YHWH is the vehicle. The YHWH is the ass upon which God is riding. Because men chose to call upon the name of the YHWH. God has to work around that. And to me, Numbers 22 to 24 are a very intricate story of God having to work around the fact that men are calling on the name of the YHWH interchangeably with God. Okay, chapter 23. And Balaam said unto Balak, Build me here 7 altars, and prepare me here 7 oxen and 7 rams. And Balak did as Balaam had spoken. And Balak and Balaam offered on altar a bullock and a ram. And Balaam said unto Balak, Stand by thy burnt offering, and I will go. Peradventure the YHWH will come to meet me, and whatsoever he showeth me, I will tell thee. And he went a high place. Okay, so that's the YHWH. And God met Balaam, not the YHWH. And he said unto him, I have prepared 7 altars, and I have offered upon altar a bullock and a ram. Which, okay, it's God engaging in pagan observance, which is, again, him meeting the YHWH halfway. And the YHWH put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, Return unto Balak, and thus thou shalt speak. And he returned unto him, and lo, he stood by his burnt sacrifice, he and all the princes of Moab. And he took up his parable and said, Balak, the king of Moab, hath brought me from Aram, out of the mountains of the east. Come, curse me, Jacob, and come, defy Israel. How shall I curse God hath not cursed? Or how shall I defy? The Lord hath not defied. Basically, the point of that passage is men are calling on the name of the YHWH and calling upon the name of God interchangeably. So how shall I curse? God hath not cursed. God hath not cursed the people of Israel. Or how shall I defy? The YHWH hath not defied. The YHWH hasn't defied the people of Israel. They're YHWH worshippers. For from the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I behold him. Lo, the people shall dwell alone, and shall not be reckoned among the nations. Well, you want living proof of that, just look at how Israel is treated at the United Nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob and the number of the 4th part of Israel? Let my soul Die the death of the righteous, and let my last end be like his. Basically, what he's saying there is these people are in an impossible situation, but they continue to be righteous. And this was like thousands of years ago, and nothing has changed since then. And Balak said unto Balaam, What hast thou done unto me? I took thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast blessed them altogether. And he answered and said, Must not I take heed to speak that which the YHWH hath put in my mouth? It's calling the YHWH's attention to the fact that these are your chosen people, and they are also God's chosen people. This is the word that you've put in his mouth. Why can't they be let into the promised land? And Balak said unto him, Come, I pray thee, with me unto another place, from whence thou mayest see them. Thou shalt see but the utmost part of them, and shalt not see them all, and curse me them from thence. And he brought him into the field of Zophim, to the top of Pisgah, and built 7 altars, and offered a bullock and a ram on altar. And he said unto Balak, Stand here by thy burnt offering, while I meet yonder. And significantly, the King James Version interpolates the YHWH into that verse 15. And he said unto Balak, Stand here by thy burnt offering, while I meet the Lord yonder. It doesn't say the Lord. Don't put it in there. And he said unto Balak, Stand here by thy burnt offering, while I meet yonder. He's meeting, but he doesn't know who he's meeting. And the YHWH met Balaam, and put a word in his mouth, and said, Go again unto Balak, and say thus. And when he came to him, behold, he stood by his burnt offering, and the princes of Moab with him. And Balak said unto him, What hath the YHWH spoken? And he took up his parable, and said, Rise up, Balak, and hear. Hearken unto me, thou son of Zippor. God not a man that he should lie, neither the Son of Man that he should repent. Hath he said, and shall he not do? Or hath he spoken, and shall he not make it good? Behold, I have received to bless, and he hath blessed, and I cannot reverse it. So basically, it's God and the YHWH interchangeably, but God basically, God not a man he should lie, neither the Son of Man that he should repent. God is always truthful. He isn't saying anything here or enacting anything that isn't truthful. He's engaging in YHWH burnt offerings, 7 of them, the biblical 7 that keeps reiterating through all of the text. He hath not beheld iniquity in Jacob, neither hath he seen perverseness in Israel. The YHWH his God with him, and the shout of a king among them. God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination against Israel. According to this time it shall be said of Jacob and of Israel, what hath God wrought? Behold, the people shall rise up as a great lion, and lift up himself as a young lion. He shall not lie down until he eat of the prey, and drink the blood of the slain. And Balak said unto Balaam, neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all. But Balaam answered and said unto Balak, told not I thee, saying, all that the Lord speaketh, all that the YHWH speaketh, that I must do? And Balak said unto Balaam, come, I pray thee, I will bring thee unto another place. Peradventure it will please God, that thou mayest curse me them from thence. And Balak brought Balaam unto the top of Peor, that looketh toward Yeshimon. And Balaam said unto Balak, build me here 7 altars, and prepare me here 7 bullocks, and 7 rams. And Balak did as Balaam had said, and offered a bullock and a ram on altar. Okay, on to chapter 24. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the YHWH to bless Israel, he went not as at other times to the meeting of enchantments. The KJV translated as at other times to seek for enchantments. No, it's not. He wasn't seeking for enchantments, plural, generally. It was the meeting of enchantments. It was God's enchantment, in quotation marks, and the YHWH's enchantments. But he set his face toward the wilderness. And Balaam lift up his eyes, and he saw Israel abiding in his tents, according to their tribes, and the Spirit of God came upon him. And he took up his parable, and said, Balaam the son of Beor hath said, and the man who had his eyes shut hath said. He hath said, heard the words of God, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling, but having his eyes open. How goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, thy tabernacles, O Israel. As the valleys are they spread forth, as gardens by the riverside, as the trees of line aloes, which the YHWH hath planted, and as cedar trees beside the waters. He shall pour the water out of his buckets, and his seed in many waters. And his king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. God brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. He shall eat up the nations his enemies, and shall break their bones, and pierce through with his arrows. He couched, he lay down as a lion, and as a great lion. Who shall stir him up? Blessed he that blesseth thee, and cursed he that curseth thee. And Balak's anger was kindled against Balaam, and he smote his hands together. And Balak said unto Balaam, I called thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast altogether blessed these 3 times. Therefore now flee thou to thy place. I thought to promote thee unto great honor, but lo, the YHWH hath kept thee back from honor. And Balaam said unto Balak, Spake I not also to thy messengers, which thou sentest unto me, saying, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the commandment of the YHWH to do either good or bad of mine own mind? What the YHWH saith, that will I speak. And now, behold, I go unto my people. Come therefore, and I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor hath said, and the man eyes are open hath said. He hath said, which heard the words of God, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. The pertinence of Sheth being included at this point is that it is in direct proximity to the birth of Sheth, to Adam and Eve, that then began men to call on the name of the YHWH. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek the first of the nations, but his latter end, that he perish forever. And he looked on the Kenites, and took up his parable, and said, Strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy nest in a rock. Nevertheless, Cain shall be wasted, until Asher shall carry thee away captive. And he took up his parable and said, Alas, who shall live when God doeth this? And ships from the coast of Shittim, and shall afflict Asher, and shall afflict Aber, and he also shall perish forever. And Balaam rose up, and went and returned to his place, and Balak also went his way. And yes, the chapter and verse that you're looking for is Numbers 31:8, when Balaam perishes because he's a pagan, and he just happens to be caught up in this steamroller action at the behest of God and at the behest of the YHWH, for whom Israel is it's the chosen people of both, and consequently, they're going to prevail. I would say they're going to prevail because they're the chosen people of God and the servants of God. And unfortunately, there's a lot of ancillary destruction that becomes necessary because of the YHWH. Bad idea to call upon the name of the YHWH the same as God. And unfortunately, if you do that, there are consequences of that. Question number 3. I was originally going to ask you about driving and taking the bus, but while listening to Please Hold on Spotify, which makes for good talk radio while I work on my art, I heard you answer that question. But you mentioned your mother dropping you off at Vacation Bible School while she learned to drive. Well, she didn't. She didn't have to drop me off at Vacation Bible School. Vacation Bible School was across the street, so I was pretty far advanced at that time, at least to the point of being able to get myself across the street and to Vacation Bible School. And I remember in another Please Hold, you mentioned your Christian friend, Stephen Ernest Dick. Got it spelled wrong here. It's Stephen, not Steve. Ernest is right. Dick is D-Y-C-K, not D-I-C-K. Well, it seemed to me that God was planting the seeds that would grow once you read the Bible. So my question is, do you remember any other encounters with God you had through your thesis years? Thank you, and God bless you, April Cooper. Yeah, very, very odd intersections with God. Fulbert Sturgeon's The New Adventures of Jesus underground comic. That was definitely and a very odd encounter with God and with Christianity. But it just goes to show that God is not mocked. Fulbert Sturgeon was attempting to mock God and attempting to mock Jesus and attempting to mock Christianity, and it just didn't pan out that way. In terms of, I would watch the Ten Commandments at Easter, the movie with Charlton Heston. And that's definitely was a very different experience once I had read the Bible and was watching the movie in light of, okay, well, I now know the source material for this, and why is Aaron not called Aaron? He's doing all of the things that Aaron did, but he's not being called Aaron in the story. And it's I think because he was the bad guy. And the more they looked at the Moshe and Aaron narrative, the more they were going, Aaron definitely relative to observant servants of God isn't really a servant of God. The moment Moshe turns his back, Aaron is building a completely pagan worship around the golden calf. So it was. Mostly the experience was all of these different touchstones. Linus's speech, where he reads part of the Nativity narration from the book of Luke, the Gospel according to Luke. That was another one. It's like that affects everybody. Everybody gets choked up at that. And should probably do a little closer examination of, okay, why do you think that you get choked up when you hear about, and that's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown. If these were just fables, if this was just made up superstitious junk, I don't think you'd be getting choked up. So there weren't a lot of them, but it's one of those things where I think God is 100% confident that if you just give the original source material a chance, if you just read the Bible you will discover inevitably this isn't what I was told it is, and the adaptations of this and the cultural touchstones for this, they're not playing fair with it, but God just sees that as being baked in, I think. So there you go, April. Um, I'm sure we'll. I'm sure I'll hear from you again.